Look at this. With all the touchdown spikes and parade dances, don't forget, this is one of the greatest playoff performers in NFL history. So clutch. The only player with more playoff touchdown catches than Rob Gronkowski is the GOAT wideout himself, Jerry Rice. We've talked a lot earlier on the show about the legacy and what he brings to the table. Marcus, when you think about how clutch Gronk is, though, what comes to mind for you?
Kansas City, AFC Championship game. You think about the Super Bowl when you needed a play, when there was a drought in scoring touchdowns. You find Gronk in the back of the end zone if you're Tom Brady. We talk about Tom Brady being the GOAT, and rightfully so. But he also played with another guy that's going to be considered one of the greatest of all time at tight end, in Rob Gronkowski. And you got to be able to trust guys. And nothing speaks to your career more than when you retire, more than what your teammates say about you, more than what the guys say about you that you played with. And I haven't heard anybody tell me Rob Gronkowski wasn't a great teammate, but more importantly, Rob was going to show up when it was a big game and things was on the line. He was going to be a guy right in the middle of the action, whether that's popping a block for a run or obviously making plays downfield. So I think he's one of the most clutch players, and I don't think we've talked about that enough with Rob Gronkowski as we've talked about how great he was throughout his career.
Hey, when we get Tom Brady's reaction, we're going to bring it to you. But we're also thinking that Tom Brady's going to be on the phone maybe at some point halfway through the season. Like, come on, man, you want to come back? Here is Tom Brady's reaction. You see this on Instagram. Of course, a great photo of those two together. And honestly, guys, the print's too small. Can't even read it. Oh, there we go. Hey, teammate, friend, brother, just a few of the words that come to mind when I think of Gronk. I'll let y'all read the rest of it. And maybe I need some glasses. But RG3, as you see that from Tom Brady, a GOAT recognizing another GOAT. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny how these GOATs, like they tend to travel in packs, and Rob Gronkowski is definitely the GOAT of tight ends. I know there's a lot of other guys out there that have an opportunity to make that claim, but his impact on the game is not measured just by his stats. It's also like Swagoo was saying, this is a guy that's going to pop a block. He's going to pop a big catch. He also going to pop bottles with you off the field. And I think that's what made guys love him so much and made the fans really love him as a player.
No, this is amazing.
That yak action.
You just look at those two guys, as RG3 said, they're GOATs that travel together. And I wouldn't be surprised if Gronk comes back at some point during the middle of the season and might want to go for another ring if they're set up for that piece. So it'll be very, very interesting to see if he comes out of retirement or he stays retired.
Yeah, I think Swagoo, you might have just coined a term, yaction. Are we in on that? Anyway, oh, Adam, you're raising your finger. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a.
Well,
yeah,
no, listen, his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, said today that he won't be surprised if Rob Gronkowski comes back in the middle of this season or even next season and basically resumes that championship hunt if Tom Brady calls. And look, I remember Rob Gronkowski saying the last time he retired that if Tom Brady called him and made a special plea to him, that he might be tempted to come back. And so I think we're in the same position, albeit he's a little bit older right now. His body's a little bit more beaten up. But the fact remains, as Indomitian is saying, if this team is on a championship march or this team has a needed tight end later in the year when they're winning games, if Gronk had to come back to finish out the regular season and make a postseason run, does anybody wonder whether or not he'd be tempted to do that? I think it's fair to assume he would be. So we'll assume right now that he's retiring for good, but we'll also know that if things are going just right and Tom places that call to Gronk, then maybe we'll see him play again.
Adam, I love it, but Indomitian, quickly, is it that easy for him to just, like, slide right back in? I mean, you've been there before when he did that.
I wouldn't say it's easy, but I think he has an ability to do it without question. He's had different seasons where he's been hurt earlier in the year and had to take some time off and then come back. Last year was one of those cases. He broke some ribs against L.A., was out for like 6 to 8 weeks, and then had an opportunity to come back and really be impactful for us, which he was.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.